Today, when we think about ordinary things and the presence of extraordinariness in the ordinary, Saint David's famous saying, do the little things, and our special emphasis on prayer, not just our prayer or prayer life, but prayer ministry in St. Edmund's Church and in our ministry area. We see in the scriptures there are people, especially in the gospel, who appear once and then they disappear. Nicodemus or Nicodemus is not one of those who appeared and then he disappeared. He comes back. Interestingly, just in the Gospel of John, he is mentioned 3 times in different situations. And each time you will see a progress, a movement. When we read this chapter, beautiful dialogue, and so beautifully read by Sally, and Sally was Jesus and Rennie was Nicodemus. So beautifully read. So you see a man who some people think had a fear of meeting Christ in the night so no people can see him. Maybe he wanted a longer meeting, a good comprehensive meeting. It's pretty much 21 verses which are covered in this dialogue. And Jesus was very busy whenever he is in Jerusalem or in Jericho or wherever he was always with people. People wanted him to preach, people wanted him to heal, people wanted him to teach. So Nicodemus might have thought, I'm just giving you another way of looking at that night meeting. That may not be the fear, that may be that he wanted a longer time. And sometimes it happens when people meet with us. I sometimes say, can we meet at 8 o'clock in the morning? Because I know from 8 to 10 I can do a longer meeting. It's just basically Jesus said, or Jesus may have said, the text doesn't tell us. But John is very clear to mention the time. There may be a reason behind why he said he came at the night time. Because the night you have to explore in the Gospel of John and John's writing. Night is not always represent that evil or fear. Night was the time of contemplation. Night was the time of deep meditation, spending time with God. So he came to meet with Jesus in the night. He was a teacher of Israel. He was highly educated, religiously impressive, politically powerful, and rich. And all these qualities which I'm saying, I'm not just picking nice, powerful words and put on him to introduce him. All these features you will see in these 3 readings about Nicodemus, one in chapter 3, then in chapter 7, and then in chapter 19 at the end of the Gospel of John when Jesus was crucified and he died. If you compare Nicodemus with Abraham, Abraham started his journey as an ordinary man without knowing one day people in the Middle East, Christians, Muslims, and Jews, everyone will be fighting for me, and they would like to inherit, and they would like to be the heirs of the promise God has made with me. They may not like to carry on the faith he had with God, but definitely the promises God made with him. And then if we compare Nicodemus and Abraham and see them in the light of Romans chapter 4, where St. Paul is talking about faith, a simple faith and the grace of God. And then today as we celebrate St. David's Day, as we celebrate the patron saint of Wales, who so beautifully said, be joyful, keep the faith, do the little things you have seen me do. Little things, simple faith, ordinary things. We don't know the beginning of a mustard seed can turn it into a big shady tree. Some of you who are young in 70s, you may remember U2's famous lyrics, which summarize journey of someone who is trying to find their place and still they don't know where they are. I have climbed highest mountains. I have run through the fields, only to be with you, only to be with you. I have run, I have crawled, I have scaled these city walls, only to be with you, but I still haven't found what I am looking for. Sometime when we are on journey with God or discipleship, people think it's a dramatic sort of thing. a dramatic moment will happen. Suddenly, a big light, or I will fall from the horse, or the car will stop on the side of the road. I was just about to die, and God saved me. Some people have very simple experiences on their journey with God and how God introduced them light from the night. So the man who came to Christ in the night, he begins confidently, Rabbi. And then he says, we know. Who are we? We don't know. But we know. Maybe he is representing a group of people. He is talking about those who are in senior position in Sanhedrin. He is talking about the chief priest. We don't know who he is talking about. We know you are a teacher who has come from God. But Jesus unsettled that certainty. Very truly, I tell you, no one can see the kingdom of God until they are born again. And then this big question, being born again, start. And Jesus is trying to help him. You are a teacher, you are a scholar, but you don't understand this simple thing. If you and I, we compare with Nicodemus, we understand what does new birth mean, but he was not able to understand. The reason he was not able to understand, he was born in a Jewish family. He was a scholar. He may have thought, do I need a new birth? And what kind of birth Jesus is talking about? Abraham's calling in chapter 12 of book of Genesis. God said to him, go from this country where no map, no instructions, no further plans. When we say to people, go, actually God is asking him to move into uncertainty. God is asking him to move from the place where you are and your destiny. God is just telling him, I'm taking you, I'm giving you a place where it's greenery, it's beautiful. Maybe God was talking about Kirkhowell, a green part of the world. Now when we see what's going on in the media in that part of the world, where Abraham probably moved freely in uncertainty with this hope that God has a plan for me. He hasn't given me a map. He hasn't handed over any blueprints to me, but God has a plan for me. Abraham's faith also unfolded gradually. Even in the book of Hebrew we read, he had no idea where that Jerusalem is. He was only thinking that Jerusalem in Palestine or Israel, but actually God was talking about heavenly Jerusalem, the eternity which God was going to give him. Nicodemus, small intervention is an act of justice. When you read in the seventh chapter of Gospel of John, the situation is people are talking about, people in Sanhedrin, they are talking about, let's eliminate Jesus. It's too much. He has become a threat for us. And then he raised the question of justice. You see the movement on the day one, which means the first meeting, he's not sure about the new birth. And in 7th chapter, he raised a concern at the meeting. Jesus was not there. They were talking about Christ. Most of these scholars, most of these teachers of the law said, we need to set this matter out. We need to kill Jesus or eliminate him. Then he said, does what is true that you can do anything against someone without hearing that person? It's not justice. And then we see that man who comes in the night is now in the light. And then he continues. We see Nicodemus. His name is quite meaningful. It means victorious, conqueror. So he conquered himself. The little faith, he let it grow. The darkness or the fear or the ambiguity, he tried to make everything clear for him. And finally, we see Nicodemus appeared in the 19th chapter of Gospel of John, when Jesus was dead, his disciples disappeared, and 2 of his disciples appeared who were not among the 12 and who may not be among the 120. And these 2 disciples were Joseph and Nicodemus. And the way John introduced them as secret disciples of Christ. So you see the progress. He came to Christ in the night. Then he was in the light. And then in the daylight, he went to the ruler and said, I am here to claim Jesus' dead body. He was a wealthy man. He and Joseph of Arimathea, they both did the final rites for Christ. When he was burying Christ, not Jesus' disciples were there, but he was Christ's disciple. John introduced him as the secret disciple of Christ. He was burying a man with the hope of resurrection. He was saying final goodbye to Christ with this hope, we'll meet again soon. It simply gives us a hope that God who called Abraham, God who justified us by faith, the God who gives life to the dead, gave hope to Nicodemus, gave hope to Abraham, and gave hope to many people throughout the centuries to live a life full of hope. From night to light, from confusion to courage, from promise to fulfillment, from death to life. Nicodemus is a great character. It looks like he just appeared 3 times in the gospel, but this character exists even today. Many of us sometimes act like Nicodemus. Either we meet with Christ in uncertainty, when we are not able to understand things well. But discipleship, it can be simple, ordinary, step by step, walking with God.